Hi, fifth graders. Today's math lesson was lesson 2.8, and we are working on rounding and estimating decimals. So rounding and estimating are the same thing. We just round in order to estimate, and today we're working with decimals. We already know how to round. That is something that you have learned before, but we will review it just a little bit. So remember, in fourth grade, we probably used the saying, 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, let it rest. And that helps us know what to do when we're rounding numbers. So we're going to use this little saying, 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, let it rest, to help us round our decimal numbers as well. Let's practice some together, and I bet you will get the hang of it. Before I start, I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit so that you can see my paper a little bit better. There we go, that will help. It is going to be very important that we read the directions because that tells us what place value we're going to round to. And if we round to the wrong place value, we're definitely not going to get the right answer. So I'm going to read my directions first. Round to the nearest whole number. Alrighty. When we're thinking about the whole number, that's like the dollars. We want to round to the dollars. So I'm going to underline my dollars. And to decide what they're going to do, we're going to look behind the decimal right there at that number. I'm going to tell myself 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, let it rest. Is my 31 going to stay a 31, or does it need to jump up to a 32? It needs to jump up to a 32 because that number behind it is more than 5, so we have to make it jump up. Let's try another one. We're still rounding to the whole number, so I'm going to underline my dollars. Look behind it. That arrow just tells me that I'm looking back there. 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, let it rest. What does my 6 need to do? Is he going to stay the same, or is he going to jump up? He's going to stay the same. Hopefully that's what you were thinking. Because 4 or less, let it rest. So he stays because that's a 4. All right, let's try again on number 3. We're still rounding to the whole number, so underline your dollars. Draw my arrow to look behind. Ooh, I have a 0 back there. Say your saying here. What is my 9 going to do? Is he going to stay a 9, or does he need to jump up to a 10? Hopefully you said stay a 9. All right, let's scooch on down. Now you can't see my saying, but remember, 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, let it rest. And my directions have changed, so we need to read them very carefully. Round to the nearest hundredth. Oh, we've got to think here. Hundredth. How many spots after the decimal is the hundredths? Hopefully you are saying 2 spots. The hundredths is 2 spots after the decimal because remember it goes tenths and then hundredths. So which number am I going to underline as being 2 spots after the decimal in the hundredths place? That would be the 5. So we're rounding there. To see what my 5 is going to do, I look behind it. 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, let it rest. What is my 5 going to do? He's going to stay the same. Then I take all the numbers in front of there and I copy them down. Like that. And that's my answer. I don't write anything behind there. So 4.05. Let's try another one. We're still rounding to the hundredth. Which one of these numbers would be in the hundredths spot? That would be the 8. Draw my arrow to look behind. What is my 8 going to do? Is he going to stay the same or go up? 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, let it rest. So my 8 needs to go up to a 9. And then I'm going to copy down all the numbers that came in front of it. 16.69. Remember, we don't put anything behind it. Just copy down the ones that come in front. Let's try again on number 6. What number is in the hundredths spot on number 6? That would be the 1 right here. So underline it, look behind. What is my 1 going to do? Is he going to stay the same or jump up to a 2? He's going to go up to a 2. What do I do with all those numbers that came before that? Copy them down. Do I put anything behind there? No. 775.12. Alrighty, let's try a few more. You will notice as I scooch my paper, the directions changed again. We have to be super careful to read those directions. Round to the nearest 10th. Ooh, how many spots after the decimal is the 10ths place? Just 1. So I would underline the 1 right here because that's 1 spot after the decimal. That's my 10th place. Look behind it. What is my 1 going to do? Remember, I'm saying to myself, 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, let it rest. My 1 is going to rest and stay. Oh, no, it's not going to rest and stay the same. It is going to jump up to a 2 because behind it is a 6. So that's definitely more. We got to jump it up. What do I do with all of my numbers that came in front of that? Copy them down. Do I write anything behind there? No. 51.2. All right, let's try this one. Which number there is in the 10ths spot? That would be the 8, so underline it. Draw my arrow to look behind. 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, let it rest. What is my 8 going to do? This one is going to stay the same. What do I do with all the numbers that came before it? Copy them down. Do I write anything after it? No. All right, one more. Which number here is in my 10ths place? The 6. Underline him. Draw an arrow to look behind. What is my 6 going to do? Is he going to stay a 6 or jump up to a 7? He's going to jump up to a 7. What do I do with all my numbers in front of that? Copy them down. Do I write anything behind? No. 147.7. All right, I'm going to scooch my paper to one last section down here. Here we are estimating. Estimate, remember, just means to round. Okay, we're just rounding these numbers, and then we'll do whatever they want us to do with them. So starting with number 10, anytime that we estimate decimals, we always round them to the whole number. And that's how we did it at the very beginning. So I'm going to underline the dollars part and look behind to see what my dollars are going to do. So $17.25. If I round that, is it going to stay $17 or should I round it up to $18? Remember, look behind right here. 5 or more, let it soar. 4 or less, let it rest. Hopefully you're thinking it stays at a 17 because this is just a 2, so that stays at a 17. Then I want to round my other one, so underline my dollar spot, look behind. Is that 11 going to stay in 11 or is he going to jump up to a 12? Hopefully you said he'll jump up to a 12 because this is a 7 and that's definitely big enough to jump up. What are they wanting me to do with those two numbers that I rounded? They want me to subtract. And 17 minus 12 is 5 and I want to put my dollar sign because that's like my label. $5. All right, let's try number 11. Underlining my dollars, looking behind it to see what it needs to do. $8.90. Is that going to stay $8 or is it going to jump up to $9? It will jump up to $9 because this is a 9. That's big, so that jumps up. $5.80. Underline my dollars, look behind. What is my 5 going to do? Is it going to stay a 5 or jump up to a 6? It needs to jump up to a 6 because that's an 8 back there. What are they asking me to do with those two numbers that I have estimated? Add. 9 plus 6 is 15. And I want to make sure I get that dollar sign because that's my label. All right, last one together, number 12. It's not dollars, but we do it the same. So underline your whole number. Look behind. Is that 10 going to stay a 10 or does it need to jump up to an 11? It's going to stay a 10. Do my other number. Is my 9 going to stay a 9 or does it need to jump up? It is going to stay a 9. What are they asking me to do with those two numbers? Add them. And 10 plus 9 is 19. Notice I do not need a label on this one because there was no dollar sign or anything. We just pretend like it's dollars. So as you're doing your assignment, do not forget 5 or more, let it soar, 4 or less, let it rest, and you will be just fine with rounding your decimals. Good luck. Do your best.